Hey, brassfacts here. The weapon-mounted light industry is currently in a Candela frenzy, with each progressive release upping the ante on performance, pushing the bounds on both what a weapon light can do and what my wallet can handle. We've seen a lot of new WML companies crop up, one of which is Z-Bolt. My initial interest with Z-Bolt, admittedly, is their yet-to-be-released ACAL, a sort of D2 style laser aiming module, but with a potentially better form factor and design. However, this thing still firmly exists in CAD land, and their website admittedly kind of looks like a $20 airsoft store page instead of an American company producing high-end lights and lasers. I mean, come on, it's even got the fireball symbols after the Candela thing. So I figured it might be prudent to try out some of their other products in the interim, and some friends spoke highly of them as they saw them at, SHOT Show and stuff. Hence, the Blazer Z-Bolt. This is a weapon-mounted light in the Surefire dual-fuel pattern, so same pattern as what we're used to. Uses 18650, CR123s, head, body, mount, tail cap, all that stuff, compatible with Surefire dual-fuel and Surefire ecosystem things, which already puts it ahead of other lights competing in this category. The party trick here is that this thing uses LEP technology, light excited phosphor. This is a fancy way of saying it's sort of a laser, but also not really. All you really need to know is that you get a very tight beam pattern. How tight? 300,000 Candela tight, with of course the fireball emojis. You get 5x more Candela versus your owls, your rains, your Malkovs, or whatever. The end result is a literal laser beam spotlight of sorts with a quoted 1200 meters of visual and a capability to engage potentially out to 300 all the way out to 500 meters. That's pretty nutty. The box also comes with CR123s, 18650s, some diffusers that don't really do all that much at all, and some colored light caps for hunting certain animals. This thing comes in slightly heavier than compared to the competition, but considering it's priced roughly at market standards, so $280 to $330, it's not actually that bad, and considering you're getting a more advanced LEP head versus an LED head, which we're used to, it ends up actually working out pretty well. The big question ends up being, does the 300,000 Candela with light emojis compromise the ability of this light to function as a WML? And if it doesn't, what niche does a photon lightsaber occupy? We gotta get the ugly out of the way first, irrespective of light performance. I had a lot of issues with this light. Right from day one, after a little bit of shooting, the power level when I got home would dip regularly from max power to low power, very much like the same issues I had with my Surefire dual fuel. Also, I wanted to use a DS00 or a UE Surefire end cap to fix the problem, but both, despite being compatible, did not work. By about 1,000 to 1,200 rounds, the light had ceased to function entirely, would not turn on. I played musical chairs with another dual fuel pattern light that did work. This was an Arasaka Malkov. This not only isolated the issue to the tail cap, but also the body as well. The head was still functional. After contacting Z-Bolt and a little bit of confusion about the body being broken but not the head, I got a RMA in fairly rapid fashion, and they gave me a new body, a new tail cap, and these mostly work. The only issue is that the tail cap must be stupidly tight, and it does come sort of loose under recoil, and then you get the aforementioned flickering, but as soon as you tighten it back up, it works perfectly. I've had the second light for 900 rounds, and it's working far better. So we're looking at about 2,000 rounds on the Z-Bolt Blazer system. However, the issues don't stop there. Remember, I still have the same head, and at the roughly 1,500 mark, so new body, same head, the bezel came off. So I was actually able to screw it back on, but that means this light is no longer atmospherically purged if it was purged. I'm in Utah, so this matters far less to me, but if you are potentially in the armpit of America or something similar, like Florida, this likely would matter for you, as your light potentially can now fog up as it heats up due to moisture in the air now being on the inside. So unfortunately, this thing kind of failed pretty spectacularly, almost as much as a light could. Not quite as bad as my Surefire dual fuel, but that's not saying much. Though it's worth noting, when I did do the RMA, we can see both of the bodies. The second body is of a drastically different design, so potentially they've iterated and understood this problem existed and replaced it, and now these issues might be resolved, and it does sort of feel that way. From the point of view of the light, it worked well. Well, at least well from the perspective of I need a lot of light way over there. Roughly speaking, I observed a max engagement range of about 300 yards You could push 400 yards, but 300, 400 maybe is roughly the sweet spot. I wouldn't feel comfortable going out to 500 yards. Admittedly, my scope is what you would consider a budget scope. The primary arm's 2.5 to 10x, so light transmission was an issue in this scenario. Your mileage may vary. So in short, I found this thing did what it was advertised to do. It allows you to shoot things at distance with a white light, and in this regard, this WML succeeds quite well. It also functions very well when you want to zero something and it's dark out. There is one thing I need to touch on, and it's a critical aspect if you as a consumer want to buy this light. Due to how this is an LEP versus an LED, we get zero spill. No, when I say zero spill, I mean zero spill. The Z-Bolt Blazer has traded all spill for a hotspot to maximize its purpose, maximize range. But this means this cannot functionally be used as a general usage light, not even slightly. Traditional high Candela lights, while having a lot of throw and minimizing their spill, still have some degree of spill, allowing for a degree of versatility. This does not. This behaves very similar to a laser aiming module in that it's very focused, and you have a defined illuminated area with basically no spill. However, unlike with NVGs where you can see the surrounding area, albeit darker, with this you are rolling around in the pitch black with your Mark 1 eyeball, and all you can see is this tiny hotspot and nothing else. With the moon out, it's tough. You can see rough shapes potentially and maybe get on target, though that is questionable at distance. But without the moon, you are literally looking through a proverbial looking through the straw. And your friends will make fun of you as your $300 light struggles to find a target at 100 yards plus as you desperately pan your hotspot back and forth in an area where you know there should be a target, but you can't find it. In a hypothetical situation where you don't know roughly where your target is, or you do, but the target is displacing, be it an animal or a other animal, you're gonna have a hell of a time, and I would argue it's almost impossible. Even at 200 yards where you think this light should excel, I would posit that even 1000 lumen light does the job better, because you have enough surrounding splash that you can actually find and see what you're looking at versus only seeing a very small thing. And with this light, you often have issues knowing what you're looking at unless you saw it beforehand in the daytime, which isn't always a guarantee. The short of it is, you almost need a secondary system to augment this to be an effective light. A secondary lighting solution, other lights present on different rifles, maybe a laser to guide you on target, an aggressively moonlit night, a PVS-14 on a second eye, maybe a thermal to find things and hone in, or maybe muzzle flashes potentially. Or you could just have clairvoyance, I guess, that works too. In CQB, it's better, but barely. In a small apartment, you can make it work if you're aware of how this light works and you splash it off of walls, which are reflective. However, you end up splashing it off the floor, which is carpet, you're going to have a lot of issues with the carpet because carpets, don't reflect light very well. And it's basically going to be a pitch black room. Even in a small house, though, you're going to have big issues in large blind spots. Now, once again, this light was never designed to be a carbine light, but it's very important for prospective buyers to understand how little overlap there is between a carbine light and a light like this. Now, it's not to say this light has no niche, and I can extrapolate some use cases from what I've experienced with this light. This light is very useful in a brightly lit city where you need to cut through street lights, photonic barriers. I could see it working, in a police hold-up situation where you're staked around a house or something like that, and giving away your position is almost irrelevant. I could also see this being used in conjunction potentially with a night vision setup where you find the target and then you want a more precise aiming method, though I struggle to imagine a situation where you'd want to compromise yourself with a white light. Maybe their illuminator version might make more sense. This also has the ability to effectively cut through windows at intermediate ranges, where traditional light designs kind of just reflect off of the window. This actually cuts through the window and you can kind of see into it at like 200 yards. I didn't get to test this out too much because I didn't want to get arrested, but I did a little bit of that. But you could potentially use this against like a deer or something where you spotlight an animal and it freezes for a split second and that allows you to line up the shot. But I'm not sure if that's even legal. But once again, you'll likely need a secondary source of information, like a thermal, to even know where to look in the first place. You can mount a second light on your rifle and kind of run a dual light system, but oh man, that seems kind of odd to me. I don't know, you do you. As a handheld, this thing actually makes a lot more sense, and it's very adept at being a spotlight, drawing attention to subjects. For example, in search and rescue, LEO, military work as a team, platoon, or whatever leader, it's a very good way of being like, hey, look over there. But instead of it being a laser, look over there, it's, hey, look over there, here's some illumination as well, and it augments traditional flashlight systems in like a team-type environment. However, as I said, these are just guesses as to where I could see it potentially being useful for. In my scenario, even with a bunch of other guys with good WMLs, I still would personally want a high throw, high Candela lumen light, like an owl, like a rain, like a whatever, over a light like this. I simply could not really, for me personally, find the use case of a long throw light like this, even at 200 and 300 yards. Combine that with the other quality durability issues, I'm gonna call it a pass for now, unfortunately. So that is that. Thanks for watching. Shout out to my subscribe stars. Channel's sort of a slump in the ad sense, since YouTube is sucking an entire testicle right now. So I appreciate it. You guys help keep the sting out of buying ammo month after month after month to keep this channel going. So I appreciate you. You guys are the G's. Thanks also to all the people that consistently comment and watch every video, even though you may not, be initially interested. I can tell, I can see you guys in the comments time and time again. I appreciate you. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.
We're out running gunning with the Doge. Nova. Hi.